The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
What a privilege to have Dr. Alex Summers with us on this round of Food Bites. Alex, I met you at a press conference a couple of weeks ago. I saw you again after that at a Governor General's event, but I know you've been with us for 4 years, but I just discovered today that you got your master's from Harvard. Is that correct?
I did. I did.
So you're the Chief Officer of Medical Health here for London and at Middlesex-London, and we're glad you're here. But you've been here for 4 years, I think.
Correct. Yeah.
You and I have similar backgrounds. We both were raised in Calgary, so I found that really interesting as well. The last time we talked, can you just give us a bit of your background, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. And Glenn, thank you for inviting me to be part of this today and for your ongoing work and leadership in our community. So yes, I've been here at the Middlesex-London Health Unit, our public health agency for our community for the last 4 years. I was the Associate Medical Officer of Health until March of this year, and then I've since been the Medical Officer of Health. Prior to that, I spent some time in Toronto and down in Boston and Kingston, but was born in Calgary, Alberta, before moving east as a late teenager and spending the rest of my years so far here in Southern Ontario and in Ontario. Yeah. It's been wonderful to get to know the community over the last 4 years and to get to know our organization and your organization and the work that we all collectively do to try and make our community a healthier place.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'd like to pivot to that a bit, just about, because I think people need to know that the health unit really does partner with a lot of different groups, including the food bank. So we've partnered with the Middlesex-London Health Unit for a fair while. We've cooperated on a number of different issues, things like harvest bucks. Also, the mayor's anti-poverty panel a few years ago, the health unit was on that, the food bank was on that. So we've had a fair bit to do together, which I think is really great. But since you have come in, I mean, you came in and kind of took over as COVID was there, but somewhat receding. But how do you think that the partnership level of things went with the health unit over the course of COVID? Like, it seemed to me you folks came to prominence really as was only right then, but you also, I'm sure, had to then link up with different people in different ways. I know when the health unit first met with the food bank at the beginning of the pandemic, they said, look at you guys, you can't close down. We really need you to keep getting the food out there. And the health unit said, anything you need, we'll provide it, which we really appreciated. But I think that took our partnership with the health unit to a whole different level. We weren't just partnering in an equal way as we had in the past. The health unit was suddenly prominent. Did you get that feeling with other partnerships during the course of COVID?
Yes, we did. I think the pandemic certainly highlighted for us and also for the community the critical part that partnerships play in public health. And one of the things we know to be true as a public health agency is that we do nothing alone. One of the key things when we talk about health is that health is so much more than the hospital in your region, although our hospitals play a key role. Health is actually influenced by lots of things that aren't health care. They're influenced by the schools you go to, the streets you walk, the grocery stores available to you, your income, the price of the food you're trying to buy. The list goes on and on. And therefore, as a public health agency that's trying to protect and promote the health of our community, we by our very nature need to collaborate. And through the pandemic, we saw that as a community tried to figure out how to protect itself and others from this virus. And those relationships that we have been able to expand upon through the pandemic, be it with the food bank, our municipal partners, so the City of London, the County of Middlesex, our school boards, we built closer relationships. We've seen the trust that has built from people saying, I don't care what organization you're part of, we're all aligned here trying to do what's best for our community during a really tough time. We've seen some of those borders come down, and I hope they can stay down as we try to align ourselves around the community. That's what really matters in the work that we do, not the organizations, but the community. And we saw that come to light during the pandemic when we really had to do that. And I think I'm really encouraged and hopeful from that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think in recent years, as the political influence in the country has become more divisive, I think that there has been more and more of a desire from even leaders like the Governor General or others to try to find a counter narrative that can run with that. So yes, we look to politics and governments to help us with certain things, but really it's at the civic level, at the community level, where we have to develop new and innovative kind of partnerships that don't reflect the partisanship or things like that are often obvious in the political arena. And it seems to me that the health unit, Middlesex-London Health Unit, has become more prominent because of COVID, but it seems to me that it must remain more prominent because as we look into communities to find solutions, it's not just with the Minister of Health in Queen's Park or the Ministry of Health, in Ottawa and Parliament. It really is at the local level. And the thing for the health unit here is it really is a public piece. It's like the food bank is a public piece, right? They're all pieces of these puzzles that are lower hanging fruit where people can access them easier or whatever, but that they become part of a new narrative in which as communities begin to, we used to talk about building back better at the beginning of COVID, right? Or doing things in a different way. Some of that has gone by the wayside, but it does seem to me that we have a responsibility, all of us as organizations, to consider looking past the regular ways that people would define, say, food insecurity for food banks or health for health units. Do you feel that now that the pandemic is waning, do you feel that the health unit itself is still in that position, or do you think it's kind of waning now as COVID is, or do you feel that these partnerships that are now there are now strong enough that we can move forward and kind of redefine public health in a new way?
Starting at the end of your question there, I do think that the relationships are going to be sustained. I think it's going to require intentional effort from us at the health unit as a starting place to continue to foster and build those relationships. Health, in some ways, is one way of describing what we all strive for, be it quality of life, health, vibrancy, vitality. We have lots of community partners that are actually working for the same ends that we as a public health unit are, but using a different term in terms of the outcome: vibrancy, livability, economic viability and sustainability. The words and terms go on and on. For us, we use health to capture that, but in so many ways, it's actually the same outcome we're going for. And that came clear through the pandemic, that in fact, to be healthy is to be happy, is to be caring, is to be part of community. And so those relationships that we've built, I think as the health unit, one of the things that's really important for us to do is to use the terms that our partners know to say, actually, we're aligned. When I say health, I want a vibrant and busy downtown in the city of London. When I say health, I want a vibrant county where people of all stages are able to access the services they need. When I say health, I mean schools that are open and full and where people are reading and writing and learning. That's what I mean by health. And so I hope that as we exit the pandemic as a health unit, we are speaking the language that our partners are speaking and meeting them where they're at, because our objectives are so aligned.
Yeah. That's pretty eloquent what you've just said, because I think I remember when SARS happened way back when, and the health unit was heavily involved then in the news and things like that a lot. But then as it receded, the health unit's visibility also receded at that point. The work continued, it kept doing the awesome things, but as people started looking community again, that wasn't a part of it. And we've got to make sure that that doesn't happen this time, because I think what I learned through COVID, and Jane did, and all of us at the food bank, is that I don't think we would have known how to move or how to operate if it hadn't have been for our partnership with the health unit, because it was a field we did not know or understand, right? And I think so that's great, and I think others did that as well. But we're now in a point where there's the mayor's panel on poverty, for instance, the local, the London COVID Recovery Network that it's called, right, that the health unit's on, the food bank is on. But we are trying to find new ways to define ourselves as a community. And I think what you've just said, I think is actually fairly profound, because I think you're talking about the health unit taking on that language of other organizations. But it's actually, those are things you've always believed in all along. It's just more or less that the rest of us have not made that link. Do you feel that?
Yes, I agree. And one of the eternal challenges of public health, and certainly a local public health agency like the Middlesex-London Health Unit, is that when things are okay, when there's not a crisis, or when, for example, there's not an infectious disease contaminating a food supply, or when the water's okay, that's when public health is invisible. Yeah. When the public's health is good, the public health agency is invisible. We, by our very nature, one of our challenges is that the less you hear about us, the better things might be going. And that's a good thing in the big scheme of things. And it's, I think, a natural evolution. I don't expect the health unit to be in the news as much as we've been in the news, which informs actually part of the critical strategy we have to have as a health unit moving forward, to be out in community at the tables where the discussions are now happening, rather than having the discussions constantly come to us. And we've done that. I think, have a legacy of doing that, but we have to renew ourselves in doing so and be at the table and continue to say, we have to do these things to keep ourselves healthy so that you don't find us in the news again. What happened after SARS or H1N1 or Walkerton is, you're quite right. Public health often fades from the collective memory. Some of the protections and the lessons we learn at the time sustain themselves. Safe water, as an example, following Walkerton, has largely sustained itself as a protective infrastructure that continues to ensure safe water for a majority of communities, but not all communities, as we know from Indigenous communities across this province, but has sustained itself. But other safe measures waned. The desire for a comprehensive vaccination reporting system following H1N1 never materialized. Yeah. And yet it would have been really helpful to have for COVID. So I hope that we remember some of those lessons. I think having some of our community partners speak up for public health as we start to fade will also be helpful. And part of that is recognizing that we do share that same objective. So just because you're in the education business, or just because you're in the food bank business, or just because you're in the business, you actually have the same outcome objectives as us in public health. So keep us in mind when we're having those conversations about what it means to be a vibrant, healthy community.
You know, I really have to agree with you on that. If I can just be honest with you, when the pandemic hit, I mean, Jane and I, we've been around a long time, leading the food bank for a long time, but we were suddenly in unknown territory. So, but I think it's really been through the mayor's panel, in which we talked about poverty is in other areas as well, or especially, I think, in my recent talks with you, which have been so educational to me, Alex, and it's true. You know, we talk about that, you know, the food bank runs as though hunger is the main issue, right? And we're trying to satisfy that, or food security, and we're trying to do the best we can, and that's really true. We're flat out all the time, ourselves and the volunteers. However, you have introduced to me, and I've really appreciated these ideas that, you know, poverty is also about health. If somebody doesn't have enough money or somebody doesn't have enough food, breakdowns begin to happen. Right? It could be in family life, it could be in health, a breakdown physically, all of those kind of things, kids' retention in school, all of those things are essential. And yet, I think I've moved through most of my 3 decades of food banking, not so much making that as much a priority. I've focused on the hunger issue. And I think in that, I've probably made some real mistakes there. And I think one of the advantages of COVID is that it really helped me to get to know people like you and others at the health unit more, almost as if though you're waiting for an invitation. Like, Glen, the next time you guys have a press conference, bring us along, because we're really interested in schools and hunger, nutrition, those kind of things as well. Or, you're working with Oneida, but they still have boiled water capacities. We have thoughts on that as a health unit, things we want to do. And those are things that I've been really remiss on. I presume others have been to a certain degree as well. But I think it's really true what you're saying. My knowledge of the health unit is that it's essential, but it sometimes hides behind its own shadow. It lets the other things go on. But that's because it's not your job to be out front, to be in the media all the time, in an emergency, of course. But it seems to me it's more that we as agencies have to recognize that the fields, the specific disciplines we're in, and the fields that we are in, all have a common denominator, and that is health. And unless we bring the health unit in, people won't recognize that. And I think we really need to do that. And that's kind of where I'd like to go with you for this next little bit. I'm wondering, in the way that we define poverty so often in the past, it's largely been economic, or there's been terms, indicators that spark things like a child poverty, or we say homelessness, and we think that means somebody without a house or a place to live, those kind of things. But really, I'm wondering if it's not time to begin to develop a new language, that the thing that those things all do have in common is health. Without health, nothing else works, even if you do have a great economy or all of those other things. Have you done much thinking about that? Because you certainly caused me to think about it, and I appreciate it. But this idea of pivoting, of making health more of an integral thing of all of these aspects of poverty that we so often talk about. How are you feeling at the health unit? Are you trying to move them in that direction? I don't think I've asked you that question, but is that how you feel?
Yes, it is. Health, defining health is an existential challenge for many, and is something that has shifted over time. Backtrack 50 years, health was the absence of disease.
Yeah.
Over time, the definition of health has really replaced itself, and the World Health Organization speaks of this, the Public Health Agency of Canada speaks of this. Health is not simply that absence of disease, but the presence of the physical and mental and community capacity to thrive. That's health for me.
Yeah.
And what impacts your physical, mental, and community ability to thrive is so much more than your genetics, so much more than your access to healthcare. Although those things matter, so don't let me say that they don't matter, but it's more than that. It's the social determinants of health, a term you may have heard before. It is fundamentally influenced by how we design our cities, how we design our counties, the speed limits in our roads, the quality of education, the income redistribution plans, whatever those are, but those impact health outcomes because they impact people's ability to have the physical and mental and community capacity to live the thriving and vibrant lives that they would desire, i.e. to achieve full health. Yeah. So as a health unit, one of our challenges is that health touches all things. Our mandate states that we are to protect and promote the health of our community. That takes us into what I would describe as a near infinite mandate in some ways. And it requires, therefore, cooperation and shared expertise to say, I don't know how best to teach a child how to read. I don't. But I know from a health outcome that if a child doesn't know how to read, their opportunity to achieve full health will be greatly limited. Yeah. I know that if a child doesn't have opportunities to eat well, or if a child doesn't have income as a family in order to have stability and secure attachment with parents, families, friends, or otherwise, that their opportunity over a lifetime to achieve full health will be limited. So therefore, our partnerships with all those partners we've talked about is absolutely essential, because in fact, the education sector or the food bank sector or the housing sector has the expertise that I don't have. I know how to stop infection prevention, infectious disease transmission. I really do. I know it inside and out. I don't know how best to teach a kid how to read, but I can tell you both of those things are absolutely essential to getting health achieved.
Yeah. It's a learning time for you as well, right? Because as you do extend those relationships, let's say like with the food bank, as we go forward post-pandemic, I mean, I'm already learning so much about this stuff, but I think for you as well, as you reach out into these different areas, you suddenly learn it's not just about, the specifics maybe about education or about food in schools or whatever it is. It's the politics of it. Right? All of those things, because they're so important, whether it's housing, whether it's poverty, whether it's unequal pay between men and women. For instance, the pandemics has been so much worse for women in the ability to be able to come back, to their full job capacity as they wish, because the pandemic disrupted so many different things. But I do think that as you move into those areas yourself, you're going to have to learn a lot of that, because we're all dealing with that the same way as you are in the health sector. We're dealing with that and the other things, and so therefore dialogue is going to have to be really important.
Dialogue, and I hope a significant amount of humility, and through that humility, an acknowledgement that we may not know everything, even in our own sectors, let alone in others' sectors, and a humility that there is shared objectives, but unique expertise that comes with it. And I think as a health unit, we need to, and me in my role, commenting personally, need to be in that humble position to learn and to engage. So, because again, if we pretend, I'm of no help to anybody to come out and say, you got to teach a kid how to read and I'll tell you how to do it. When the reality is there's probably a lot of different ways to teach a kid how to read, and I probably don't know the best one.
Yeah. What's interesting at a global level, I was involved a fair bit with the UN as we developed the Millennial Development Goals all those years ago, and now the Sustainable Development Goals. And the earlier emanation of the Millennial Development Goals took poverty around the world and defined it in ways that were outside of what we would normally think of. It would include things like contraception for women, for instance, the access to education for kids. And suddenly, this whole thing that was about poverty became all of these other things and branched out. And then they became the Sustainable Development Goals, right, which was the next emanation of all of that. And I was involved in all that, and it was really something to be part of that with people who really saw the world that way and who saw poverty that way. But then you start dealing at the local level, and people, they see poverty as poverty, right? They're not making those broader links. And I've worked here with others, so as the food bank, other organizations, including the health unit, to get those sustainable development goals out there, help people to see that this is all mixed together. And unless we're, succeeding in all of these different levels, something will continue to break down. How important were those sustainable development goals to you folks as a health unit? Were you part of all of that, or was it something you just absorbed?
Some of the initial involvement in that preceded my time at the health unit. And since my time here, the pandemic has really trumped a lot of consideration in some of those ways. We're heading into our next round of strategic planning starting next year. And that aligns with, I know I can speak for the city's strategic planning process, and the county will be in and around there as well. And tying what we do locally here to the UN Sustainable Development Goals is I think critical. And I know that the city's previous strategic plan did. As you look at those UN Sustainable Development Goals, I think that's, for me, what speaks to me is, again, that shared language or even unique language for shared outcome, right? Those are health outcomes. Those are health determinants that are being talked about there. And so for us as a community, in some manner or form, to be able to apply a vision and shared mission to try and achieve those goals in our community would be amazing. Yeah. Because if we are able to secure those at a local level, we will have that vibrant community we wish for. And I think one of the key takeaways that the pandemic showed us is that there are absolutely global level impacts on the health of specific communities, and we know that clearly. However, we minimize the impact of local interventions at our own peril. Yeah. The local work is what, to me, matters the most. You know, we can wait for somebody at a upper jurisdictional level, be it provincial, federal, or global, to do something, or we can say, right now in our community, there are people who aren't achieving those UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we collectively aren't going to abide by that. Our pathway to addressing it can be a source of much discussion, and should be. But to agree that maybe that's not the outcome, not the community we want, I think that's something I would hope for our region.
Yeah, I mean, you really got my mind thinking, not just now, but before. But I really do think when you define poverty as economic, you stratify all of these different sectors within society. If poverty could be seen through more of a health lens, that's all of us. We all have that, and as we age, we go through different aspects of health and maybe breakdown or recovery or whatever it is. But I think we need to talk more with you folks at the Health Unit. I don't just mean the food bank, but all of us. I think we need to have a new language around poverty that's more rooted in health than it is just in economic things, because that becomes way too easy to just define if it's economic. But when it comes to health, it's much more integrative with where all of us are at. Would you agree with that? I presume you would.
I certainly would, Glenn. And I think part of it is, you know, from where my entry point is, right? My entry point is through health. And I can tell you, poverty is a absolutely critical predictor of whether or not somebody is well or ill, period, at every stage of life. Yeah. To have access to the sufficient resources to have your physical and mental and community capacity to thrive is essential.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, Alex, it just came out in the news today that University of Toronto put out this new study that showed that Canada actually fared the best of all the G10 nations as we went through the last 2 years of the pandemic. Now, that also included economic measures, but primarily it was around health measures, knowledge, how we handled the vaccine, the ability to speak to people's insecurities and what to do and to give direction. Canada actually fared better than anybody else. And I presume that a lot of that, it's easy to look at the national level, but I presume a lot of that came through the really hard work of the public health units across the country, who were basically contracted to go out and make those things happen. And I think for all of us, I know for all of us as a food bank, it was the health unit that actually gave us this feeling of assurance as that we move forward. I was so glad that Kim Lupus, who works with you at the health unit, is on our board at the food bank, but she was assuring us or guiding us as we moved along. But I think all of us as a community really need to thank you, Alex, your staff, and your predecessor, Chris, and others. I think there's a reason why we did better than the other 9 nations. And I think a lot of that is not just due to this professional health thing, but the public health. How the public behaved and responded to the challenges that were before them was really due to the instructions and the assurance that you folks gave. So just in closing, I just want to thank you for that, Alex. I know that you were part of that. You've been here for 4 years, so you've been there for all through that stuff. But to you and your staff, thanks for that. There's a reason why we ended up where we did out of the G10, and I think so much of it here in London is due to you folks. So thanks for that, Alex.
Privilege was ours. Thank you so much, Glenn.
And thanks for this interview. I appreciate it. We'll circle back to you because we got lots to learn together.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. See ya.
call the Rogers TV Viewer Response Line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
I wish all Canadians, and especially my constituents in London Fanshawe, a very happy Canada Day. These past few years have been difficult for everyone, but throughout all of our struggles, I've seen Canadians care and support each other like never before. Our community has come together to protect each other through these trying times. Today, let's celebrate in solidarity and honor the men and women who have risked so much to get up every morning to continue to work so that we can remain safe. Thank you. Have a happy Canada Day.
Folks, welcome to the RTV Quiz Show, the special snowstorm edition. Unbelievable, folks. There's a huge snowstorm up there. Thank God you got me and I got you. We're going to stay at home and just wait for somebody else to shovel. All right, now, if you're on a side street in London, Kitchener, Ottawa, Brantford, New Hamburg area, it's going to be between 6 to 7 weeks before they get to your street, so be patient. Folks, okay, don't be scared. Everybody's prepared for the weather. It's going to be okay. We got Paris Hilton's prepared. I am prepared because these jokes, folks, just came out of the freezer. Round one, the topic is Alberta, keeping with our Canadian provincial theme. Alberta, of course, from the Indigenous word, which means perpetually ticked off. All right, without any further ado, let's giddy up. Here we go. Question number one. What major exhibition takes place in Calgary every July and started in 1912? It's fun for the whole family. Maybe not for the animals, but the residents. Question number two. What is Alberta's capital city? Is it A, Calgary, B, Edmonton, C, Red Deer, or D, Lethbridge? If you're traveling through Alberta, I strongly suggest you stop by one of the neighborhood bars in Red Deer and ask for some of their famous Red Deer nuts. In case you don't know, folks, the biggest difference between beer nuts and Red Deer nuts are beer nuts are $1.25 a pack, but Red Deer nuts are always under $1. Oh yeah, it's gonna be that kind of show. Question number three, what Canadian rock band was formed in Hanna, Alberta, and features Chad Kroger as the lead vocalist? Right from good old Hanna, Alberta. Discovered by Joshua Hanna and his whole dirty family. They all used to take a bath together, and one Hanna washed the other. Question number four, Alberta is the only province in Canada that is completely free of one animal. That's easy. That's going to be a toss-up between cougars and foxes. Because I drove through Alberta quickly. Lovely people. Well, in the dark. Question number five. Which one of these Alberta parks is the largest national park in Canada? Is it A, Jasper? Is it B, Elk Island? Is it C, Banff? Is it D, Wood Buffalo? I don't think it's any of those. Everybody knows. The largest national park in Alberta is the West Edmonton Mall parking lot. See, it's huge. All right, time for round two. Round two of the category is awards and honors. All right, question number six. Which of the following fields does not receive a Nobel Peace Prize? Is it A, chemistry, B, economics, C, peace, or D, engineering? Folks, it's so obvious. The person who should get this year's Nobel Peace Prize is a guy who invented yoga pants. Okay, because when I'm in the kitchen with my wife and she's wearing yoga pants, I'm not thinking about making war. You know what I'm saying? Question number 7, what award for culinary excellence is given to restaurants by a tire manufacturing company? Which makes the way my wife cooks the steak, tastes like a 18-inch white wall tire. No, honey, it's not overdone. No, I think it's good for another 10, 15,000 kilometers. This steak, it's good. Question number 8, what is the name of the highest prize awarded at the Cannes Film Festival? Is it A, a BAFTA, B, the Palme d'Or, C, the Golden Globe, D, the Genie? Just me, they all sound like names for bras. Is it? Question number 9, what is the name of the trophy that is awarded to the winner of the National Football League Championship? At least they don't call themselves world champion of baseball. The people win the World Series. Who'd they play? They played us. It's like you beat the other kid up in grade 2, and now you're the world champion of the playgrounds, of all playgrounds in the world. You think you can beat up Fat Tony from Brazil? You think you can beat that guy? Question number 10. What Canadian military honor is awarded for the most conspicuous bravery, daring, or preeminent acts of valor, self-sacrifice, or extreme devotion to duty in the presence of the enemy? What is that honor called? Right, time for round one. Round one. Answers. The category was Alberta. Here we go. Question number 1. The question was, what major exhibition takes place in Calgary every July and started in 1912? That, of course, is the Calgary Stampede. For those of you that are not from Canada, the Calgary Stampede is a name for a long-standing tradition where millions of people from Edmonton moved to Ontario when the price of oil drops. Question number 2, what is Alberta's capital city? The answer is Edmonton. Question number 3, what Canadian rock band was formed in Hanna, Alberta and features Chad Kroger as the lead vocalist? That is Nickelback. I will also accept Mount Rushmore because apparently it's also a rock group of 4 men who can't sing or play music. All right, number 4. I can't believe this is the answer. Question number 4 was, Alberta is the only province in Canada that is completely free of what animal? And that's rats. There are no rats in Alberta. I don't understand. Don't these people have a legislative assembly? Huh? Oh, I get it. This place is so bad that not even people in the Mafia Witness Protection Program want to live there. I believe in that. Now it makes. Question number 5, which one of these Alberta parks is the largest national park in Canada? It was D, Wood Buffalo National Park. Question 6, which of the following fields does not receive a Nobel Peace Prize? It's D, engineering. There's no Nobel Peace Prize engineering. Question 7, what award for culinary excellence is given to restaurants by a tire manufacturing company? That's the Michelin star. Folks, I know a lot about gourmet cuisine. I have just invented a 5-star Michelin sandwich called the Trump Bagel. All right. So it's full of bologna, covered with Russian dressing, and comes with a small pickle. I missed him. I missed him a little bit. I had material. I had material left over. So, like leftover. They're still good. Question number 8. What is the name of the highest prize awarded at the Cannes Film Festival? That's the Palme d'Or. It's like a big fancy film festival, like an intellectual. There are a lot of documentaries. They pretend like, oh, did you see that documentary on shipbuilding? Oh, yes, I found it quite riveting. That kind of, I don't want that award. Question number 9. What is the name of the trophy that is awarded to the winner of the National League Football Championship? The answer to that is not the Buffalo Bills. No, it's the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Vince Lombardi. Question number 10. What Canadian military honor is awarded for the most conspicuous bravery, daring or preeminent acts of valor, self-sacrifice, or extreme devotion to duty in the presence of the enemy? In my house, we call that coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning. But the real answer is the Victoria Cross. Victoria Cross. Folks, don't go away. We'll be back right after this.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Jeff from Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff. We're back for season 3. We've had the opportunity to see some great backyards and have some great barbecue. Join us, Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff.
The world's most famous Canadian, Grey Owl, just back from a triumphant British tour, is to be a reluctant guest at a gathering of First Nations.
Archie, you may not realize this, but right now you are the most famous Red Indian in the world. These are your people. You have to be there. Come on, Harold, let's go.
Sure, I'm sure. His name is Archie Bellini, and if he's a Red Indian, I'm the King of China.
It is an honor to meet the man called Grey Owl, who has brought much respect for our people.
Imposter, rascal, dreamer. And yet the Englishman who called himself Grey Owl awoke the whole world to our vanishing wilderness.
My brother says, men become what they dream. You have dreamed well.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they're fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
All right, welcome back to the RTV Quiz Show, everybody. All right, time for round 3. The category is spiritual sports. All right, these are all sports answers that have a spiritual twist to them. All right, you'll get it. Even if you haven't been in church for a while, you will get it. Here we go. Question 11. What is the name of the San Diego Major League Baseball team? Their name refers to the Franciscan friars who founded the city. The city was founded by Franciscan monks, and that's what they named the baseball team after. Question number 12 in hockey. What rhyming nickname is used to describe the penalty box? Penalties are often major or minor, but never described as cardinal or deadly. Oh, look at Professor Dave. Look at him. With the fancy terms. Now, you realize that people watching this show are just waiting to play Lions TV bingo. Like, you understand it. Question 13. What Argentinian soccer star described one of the most famous World Cup's goals as the hand of God? Oh, it's time for a little musical hint. Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. Like a virgin. Question 14. At the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, the United States hockey team defeated the Soviet Union 4-3. What did the game become known as? A special nickname with spiritual undertones in the name for this famous game. Question 15, what 7'6" tall center played in the NBA between 1993 and 2005 and was known as the Stormin' Mormon? He was known because before he came up for a shot, he'd stop and knock on your door. And then he would make the shot. Right, time for round 4. Category is cervids. You're pushing it, buddy. You're pushing it. Also known as members of the deer family. These are all answers about deers and people related to deers. Like Bambi and this is going to be tough. There's no other famous deers. Bambi, John Deere, John Doe, dead Bambi. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Question 16. What animal is the largest member of the deer family? They can grow up to 10 feet tall. Oh, the largest member of the deer family? Oh, everybody knows that. It's Daddy Deer, Daddy Deer, Daddy Deer, Daddy Deer, Baby Deer, Deer. I'm trying to get the younger demographics, like little infants. Daddy Deer, 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 Deer. That's good. They can't find their remote control. Once we get them hooked. Question 17. In Europe, this animal is known as a reindeer. What is it called in North America? Well, that's easy. In Canada, sometimes it's called La Deer de Rain. In Mexico, it's called Los Reindeer. And in Texas, it's called hat/gun rack. Question 18. What is the most common deer species in North America? Is it A, the elk? Is it B, the white-tailed deer? Is it C, the mule deer? Or is it D, red deer? Have you heard about those great red deer nuts? We did that? Okay. All right, question 19. Deer are native to all but 2 continents. Which 2 are they? Time for a fun fact here, folks. Obviously, we have deer in North America. According to a recent study by the CAA, deers are responsible for more traffic fatalities than any other animal. But why do we keep giving them driver's licenses? Huh? I don't understand. I know what it is. They go to the Department of Motor Vehicles and they, with those eyes, can I please have a license? Please? And they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Question number 20. What type of deer is this? They are native to China and Korea. Look at that deer. That's not a touched up photo, folks. I'll give you a small hint. The deers that are native to China, you can buy at the buck store. I had to. Come on! I had to. Time for round 3. All right, the category was spiritual sports. Here are the answers. All right, question 11 was, what is the name of the San Diego Major League Baseball team that was named after Franciscan monks that founded the city? That's the San Diego Padres. I know that might sound like a silly name for a team, but, they had the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, who was named after a Walt Disney movie. Fun fact here, folks. The Walt Disney has just informed the 7 dwarves that due to COVID restrictions, they can only meet in groups of 6. It says here, one of them is not happy. Question number 12, in hockey, what rhyming nickname is used to describe the penalty box? It's called the sin bin. The sin bin. I always wondered, when they play hockey in Las Vegas, do you still get 2 minutes for hooking? Do they prorate that? Or do they just charge you for the full hour? I'm asking for a friend. Question 13, what Argentine soccer star described one of the most famous World Cup goals as the hand of God? That was Diego Maradona. Question 14, the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid. The U.S. hockey team defeated the Soviet Union 4-3. What did that game become known as? That was the Miracle on Ice. Do you remember that? The Miracle on Ice. Folks, let me tell you right now, the real miracle is going to be when they let us forget about it. Huh? Oh, my God. Oh, you remember in 1980? Yeah, we remember. You can't shut up about it for crying. You got lucky. Now in mirror. Oh, do you remember? Oh, it's like the guy who birdies on a par 3. And you never, remember. Hey, it's just mini golf. Huh? You got lucky. And it bounced off the windmill, off some guy's foot, and then it rolled. No, remember that 1980? That guy. Question 15. Which 7-foot 6-inch tall center played in the NBA between 1993 and 2005 and was known as the Stormin' Mormon? That was Sean Bradley. There's question 16. What animal is the largest member of the deer family? They can grow up to 10 feet tall. That's the moose. Question 17. In Europe, this animal is known as reindeer. What is it called in North America? It's called a caribou. A caribou. Question 18. What is the most common deer species in North America? That's easy. Around my house, it's the yes deer. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. But I will also accept the white-tailed deer. The white-tailed deer. Question 19. Deer are native to all but 2 continents. What continents do you not find deer on? Australia and Antarctica. Yes. Question 20. What type of deer is this? It's native to China and Korea. It's an actual deer here. It's called a water deer. Are you sure it just didn't eat a porcupine? I hear that. Speaking of weird, folks, we'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Round 5 coming up.
I did it.
I need it.
The hero gave it.
And I am alive.
As an organ donor, you can save up to 8 lives and enhance the lives of 75 others. Please go to our website. Pledge a gift of life. You'll be glad you did.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
Rogers TV has given me the opportunity to be involved within my local community, where I have met plenty of new people, experienced new things. I have done various production roles such as graphics, live audio, and camera work. Recently, I have been a part of the London Knights Rogers TV crew, and I have had a wonderful time there, being part of such an amazing and diverse group of individuals. I highly recommend it.
I'm Shannon Woolley, host of Batter Up Beachville on Rogers TV. Join myself and Doug Harris as we learn more about the first recorded baseball game in Beachville.
Hi, I'm Dan Mailer. I'm the host of London Lights, the show where we talk about notable Londoners who have made a big mark, big impact on the world of music, entertainment, sports, politics.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back to round 5, double point answers. The category is movie quotes. Movie quotes. Me and my friend Oscar here are ready to rock and roll. Here we go. Question 21. What 2000 movie features the line, "Are you not entertained?" I don't know what the answer is, but it should be season 2 of The Tiger King. Like, I'm shocked that the sequel is not as good as the first one. Question 22. What 2010 movie features the line, $1 million isn't cool? You know what's cool? $1 billion. The other day I was thinking, what do billionaires say when they're sick? What do they say, man, I feel terrible. I feel like $1 million. Like, terrible. More, I feel like $1 million untaxed shelter dollars. Question 23. What 1993 movie features the line, "You're killing me, Smalls"? Was it A, Little Giants, B, The Mighty Ducks, C, The Sandlot, or D, Air Buds? Oh, Air Bud. Air Buds, that's something else. That Chuck found hilarious. There we go. Question 24. What 1968 movie features the line, "I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that"? Fun fact, folks, if you go to producer Dave's house, he has that line on his welcome mat. Question 25. What 1954 movie featured the line, "You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender"? It's a classic movie. All right, folks, I'll give you a hint. They're refilming this movie in Eastern Europe, in Prague, to be exact. And they're actually hiring extras for a lot of the scenes. Apparently, they're looking for some background checks. All right, round 5. Answers. Movie quotes. Here we go. What 2000 movie featured the line, "Are you not entertained"? That's The Gladiator. The Gladiator. Question 28. What 2010 movie featured the line, $1 million isn't cool? You know what's cool? $1 billion. That's The Social Network. The Social Network. Question 23. What 1993 movie features the line, "You're killing me, Smalls"? That was C, The Sandlot. Sandlot. That was a guy's nickname, Smalls. I had a psycho girlfriend who insisted that I call her Gillette because she said she was the best the man could get. I called her Gillette because if you rubbed her the wrong way, she would likely cut you. That's what I. Oh, dodged a bullet. Question 24. What 1968 movie features the line, "I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that"? That was producer's Dave wedding video. The answer was the 2001 A Space Odyssey. Question 25. What 1954 movie features the line, "You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender"? That was On the Waterfront. Folks, that's all the time we have for today's RTV quiz show. Till next time, stay safe, stay calm, and please stay nice.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Most people that have received treatment for drug use problems are probably going to have a lapse.
Join addictions counselor Dean Anderson for Invisible, Breaking Through the Stigma of Addiction, on Rogers TV.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Mario Elia, and I'm the host of a new show here on Rogers TV that we're calling Keeping London Healthy with Dr. Mario. So tune in Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. and we'll see you then.
It's about sharing and caring. It's about doing and belonging. It's about living life to its fullest. And it's about laughing out loud. We are L'Arche Canada, and we're about witnessing and sharing the gifts of all people. Learn more about us today.
Looking for the best way to get the Major League Baseball games you want to watch? Rogers Super Sports Pack has you covered. With MLB Extra Innings, you'll have a premium ticket to